Okay, so as promised, this is a recorded video going through your timed practice. So I've already marked. I hope you got a chance to see your feedback. Like I shared that just now, some of you did impressively well. Some of you still had your room for improvement. Nevertheless, still very proud of how you performed. Like I shared just now also, please make sure you do your corrections, not just for the question that you attempted, but also what are the key learning points for the question you didn't attempt. Because remember, you never know which question is the easier one for you to attempt during the actual national exam. So don't go and pick and choose a topic now. Okay? Okay, first part. Students investigating heritage tourism. Okay, they visited ancient city, World Heritage Site in Italy, covered by volcanic ash. 2,000 years ago, buried, many people died. Students wanted to find out tourists visiting. The guiding question was, what type of tourist is attracted to this heritage site? Okay, and the hypothesis, tourist has a positive impression. Okay, so the two things that they are investigating, one is a research question, one is a hypothesis. So this is the questionnaire that they used. Important for us to keep in mind the questionnaire itself, but I'll tell you a bit more why later, because I saw some of the quality of your responses. First part, the students interviewed tourists as they left the city at point E. Let's take a look. Point E is here on the map. Okay, and the question is asking you, why point E? Right? Why did they choose point E for the interview? So a lot of you are telling me that it's the entrance, which is true. But the better answer, I know the Cambridge response already gave us this guide, saying the better answer was, is the entrance nearest to more areas open to public. Yeah, so this is the better recommended answer. But for my students, as always, I'm expecting you to elaborate. Remember that time when we talked about crowded, the why is this a problem to do survey in this area that's super crowded? And you just say, oh, because it's crowded. So what's the problem with it? It's crowded, so people may misinterpret my question, therefore it's not accurate. Same thing here. If it's entrance nearest to more areas open to public, this means that this is going to have more people, therefore larger sample size. This is why people choose this location. Yeah, so this is why in your quality of your answer is the E, this is the L. And remember, command word here is Y, which is equivalent to explain. Yeah, so E plus L. Can? Second one, formulate a hypothesis based on question 1 of the questionnaire. That's the reason why I say so important. See, here got a lot, right? But question 1 is only what continent are you from? So the correct answer here is more tourists come from Asia than other continents. That's it. Easy, right? Some of you end up writing about the age group lah, the what lah, what's the purpose for their visit lah. The question is very simple. It's just based on what continent are you from. That's all. Okay, so this is where the 1 mark goes to. Some of you, sayang, you didn't get any marks for the first page. Okay, second one, name and describe one method student could use to present information shown in table 1. Only table 1, so they ignore table 2. Table 1 got the different age groups, and then there's the percentage. It's not just number, it's percentage, which means 2 answers can be accepted: bar graph or pie chart. Both would be equally correct. Okay, in this case, when they say describe the method though, so name means this is 1 mark. If you give me the other one, this is 1 mark, but it's not together. You cannot say bar graph and pie chart get 2 marks, okay? So bar graph, the description, total will get you 3. Pie chart plus description, total will get you 3. What's expected when you're writing about bar graph? Okay, so I'm expecting to know what's the x-axis, which is the different age groups. Then the y-axis, which is the percentage. And then the next point. Some of you just stop it at there, and that's why you end up with only 2 marks. I already mentioned this before. I'll reiterate for as many times as is needed, as long as you can get it to your brain before national exams. Plot the bar for each age group. Length determined by how many percentage of tourists or da. Okay, so it matters for me to be able to see how are you planning to plot the bar, because you're supposed to present the information. It's not just, if you just stop here, right, means effectively I say, I will draw a bar graph. This is my axis, and then done. I need to actually see the bar, right? You're describing how you plot the bar. Okay, for a pie chart, similar thing. You already named the pie chart, there's 1 mark. Then after that, you need to have segments of each age group determined by percentage. Okay. Then after that, you will shade them differently and label and color and whatever it is, and legend. Okay, some of you only end up giving it number 1 and number 3. So you lost point number 2. This is the part where you actually plot. Same thing here. So don't ignore the plotting portion. Okay. So then the question is asking you now, answer the guiding question, what type of tourist? This is the tourist profile. And you need to use both tables 1 and 2. So for this 3 marks, simple. You just look at the dominant one, which is young. 15 and under is the main. I've also accepted people who say young, under 30, 50%. Right? 20 plus 30, 50%. Both are equally correct. Then after that, purpose. People who came here for visit is the most dominant one. And people who are interested in history. So total 3 points. That's about it. Yeah, 1 for age group, 2 for the different purposes, which is the word and what I'm looking out for. Younger and main. These kind of words. This is your analysis. So you're telling me using the words, which is the one that I want to focus on. Okay, moving on. State how far the hypothesis tourists had a positive impression is supported or rejected. In this case, you can already count total, right? So you can already see, but this question, right, I want to share. It says state how far. Right? It's not saying is the hypothesis proven. So hypothesis is largely supported as total, largely rejected, paiseh, as the total negative impression responses is higher. So you tell me the total versus the total for this side. Yeah, so you need to give me evidence. Go and count total. You can count average is also perfectly fine, but I think it makes more sense for you to count average. Sorry, total. Okay. So again, 2 marks. Is there any anomaly in this case? Nope. No anomaly. Right? If you want to say the fact that, this one is higher than this one. There's no real anomaly in this case. It's just 2 marks only. It's just one statement and the evidence. The only thing that I want to give you as input is teaching, something I want to teach you is this. How far? Largely rejected. Okay? So don't just go fully on saying rejected. But because you don't say how far, that's why the phrasing should be as such. Okay, next one. Question is talking about reliability of the data collected. Suggest, so you're supposed to tell me how you can make it reliable. Some of you are confusing this, and we have already mentioned this a lot of times. I can see you're trying your best. Some of you are writing even though you know that A is wrong. You're using the word reliability when you're bringing up accuracy. So reliability is about number. Okay, so larger sample size, more days, different days, ensuring minimum number of each age group. These are all the strategies that will make sure that this can be reliable. More locations. Yeah, so these are all the different strategies. Of course, you need to elaborate how it leads to reliability. But for those of you who end up talking about accuracy measures, saying for example different languages so people don't misunderstand, sayang so you lost the marks because the question is not asking about accuracy. Okay, so that's that for question 1. Honestly, I find question 2 to be a bit easier, but nevertheless, if you think question 1 was easier for you, then by all means, power to you. Some of you did score quite well, 10 upon 13. I can't remember who exactly, but one of you got 10 upon 13 or 11 upon 13 for this. So very, very well done. But also an example of, imagine if you have only chosen to study tourism GI. That means you can't even answer this question, which actually hand to heart I find a lot easier. Okay, first one, sling psychrometer. Already can get 1 mark. Oh my god. saying psychrometer. Amazing, right? 1 mark just for this. And those of you who write psychrometer and go, yeah, but I just missed one word, how come I don't get the mark? Because of this. This means no matter what, you must sling it. So without it, you cannot get the mark. Okay? Next one. This question is asking you, what's the dry bulb temperature? This is 25 and 64. Nice, right? Here they even give you the unit, so you don't need to worry about missing unit. But don't take it for granted. Your paper, it may not have it, so you must keep in mind. Okay? 2 factors to consider when sighting instruments, such as rain gauge to measure rainfall. Open area, right? Then after that, partially buried. Okay, I've also accepted a third possible answer is the top must at least 30 cm from the ground. These are all description of how you want to sight the instruments. But my command word here is explain. So you need to tell me why like that. Open area, prevent block, catch of raindrops, partially buried so it is stable, not fall down when there's strong wind, not topple with strong wind, 30 cm to prevent splash, water splashing in from the ground. This one is very important because I want to highlight this part to you. Some of you end up writing what, no? Splashing out from the rain gauge. That one doesn't matter. That one not say doesn't matter. That one not likely because remember it has a funnel, so it won't splash out. More of prevent water from splashing in. You want the water come from the sky, not from the ground. Okay. Next question. State how far the hypothesis when the relative humidity is high, there's higher percentage of cloud cover. I love it. Some of you are drawing on the graph. 70% is here. I can see most of you are drawing the lines. Then after that, percentage is over 50%. I say relative humidity is high, percentage of cover is 50% or more. Like that. I love it. I can see some of you are drawing the lines, you're circling. So this is the portion that they're saying. So yes, to a large extent, it is true. Right? How far? Again, largely true. Anytime there is above 50% cloud cover, relative humidity is above 70%. But in this case, there are anomalies. Because this side, see here, even if cloud cover is low, relative humidity can still be high. That's the anomaly. This is not anomaly, this is the anomaly. Okay, this is the evidence to support. So I've gotten, some of you wrote what brilliant answers. I thought it was quite clever. You don't know how else to code the figures, right? So you end up counting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 points. Then, however, anomaly, 4 points can be seen where I thought it was quite smart, right? You're not wrong, what? If there's really nothing else that you can say, you just count and put in the number. Yeah. So that's that for that question. Last question, answer the guiding question. Is rainfall affected by relative humidity? So the obvious answer is yes it's affected. Okay, so for 3 marks, you can see here, as this one increase, it will increase. So there is a direct relationship. Then you give me evidence. Say for example from day 1 to day 4, as it increase from 60 something to 80%, this one also increase from here to here. Okay, then anomaly. You can see here that both days remaining 0 mm rainfall, but there is a decreasing trend. So this is constant, but this is a decreasing trend when it comes to the relative humidity. So this is the anomaly. And the anomaly is not just the decrease. The anomaly is this decrease while this constant. Right? If the relationship is one increase, the other increase, the anomaly is this constant but this decrease. Yeah? Okay, so that's that lah. For this 3 mark question, 1 mark statement, 1 mark evidence, 1 mark anomaly. Okay? Last question. Suggest why taking a greater number of sites will make the data more reliable. Right? Greater number of sites. Remember, reliable is about being representative. Right? So it can represent more locations. Which can affect the amount of rainfall. affect the data collected. Then some of you are harking back to our normal standard reliability comments talking about help to identify, to see pattern more clearly. Because got more data, right? And of course the last one is about identifying anomalies, to ignore. Not say ignore lah, but identifying anomalies in data. Okay, so most of you can tell me this, or you give me either one of these two. Okay, but this one is not as much well done. So I want to make sure I remind everybody, reliability is about representative. Okay, that's that for section A. Let's move on to section B. Okay, this is a flow line map you can see here, showing the pattern of medical tourism from China, not to China, from China. Okay, so the question is asking, describe the pattern. So you don't need to study so much. This is just look at the thing, tell me what you can see. So you can see that most of them are going to Korea, Japan, So easy first answer, Asia more than Europe and America. Okay, for this one weakness I can see in your answer is the way that you use evidence. For example, you want to say Europe, right, and America, right, the evidence. You say that each one, you say that it is less than 5,000. In a way, you're not wrong. Each of this line is less than 5,000 kind of thickness. But you have to imagine total got 4 lines. So if you say it's less than 5,000, is that representative of Europe and America? No, right? If you say on average, I agree. Because some of you can give me outrightly, tell me total. So weird. So total, less than 20,000. You know, 4 destinations mah. So you times 4, less than 20,000. Okay, so that's the part that matters. Then, obviously you already see the pattern. Already you give the anomaly, the evidence. Next one is to give me anomaly. What's the anomaly in this case? Obviously Singapore lah. Asian country, but only 10,000. Right, so it's a small amount, so this is anomaly. Okay, then after that, 3 marks, right? Is there anything else that you can talk about? I want you to imagine. Look at the countries, Germany, UK, Switzerland, USA, South Korea, Japan, Singapore. What do you see in common between the ones I underline? Most of them are DC. Remember, Ang Mo country, rich country. And South Korea, Japan, Singapore. DC is the one that is the most common destination. Then anomaly, Malaysia and Thailand. So total, 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. Got a lot for you to write about. This is a 3-mark question, any 3. As a matter of fact, I think I was quite generous. I think even the fact that if you're able to give me a good analysis of Asia more than Europe and America, I really give you a mark. Yeah, so don't take it for granted though. So again, please make sure you err on the side of caution. Give more, better than giving less, unless it impedes on your time management. Okay, let's move on. Next question. Oh no. Oh no. Sorry. How do I? Ayo, shit, no, wrong side. Okay, anyway, so this question is asking you, talking about the different kind of age groups and the type of things that they use. Describe the differences and similarities between age group and their use. So, differences and similarities, right? Easy. First similarity, highest is travel website and blog. Lowest is magazines and newspaper, across all 4. Okay, so this is the common thing that they have between them. And I think if you wrote down both highest and lowest for all the different age group, you have gotten 1 mark. But the thing is, you write 2 things, how come you cannot get 2 marks? Because you didn't give me 2 evidence sets. Right? You cannot just tell me highest and lowest. You have to give me evidence. Say for example, and if you think, oh man, really I have to write down so many. Don't need lah. Just think of it as lowest for all age group is 48%. It is 48%. Right? For this one, highest only at, what's this, 7%? So this is the commonality, two commonalities. Differences, you can see here, next highest for the younger age group is social media, which is low, which is second lowest for older age group. Then you give me evidence, that will be the third mark. Alternatively, you can also say about this one, which is the travel agent and tour guides, which is higher amongst the older, lower amongst the younger. So a lot of points that you can write about, genuinely, for you to get 4 marks worth. But this question, if I'm not wrong, is only 3 marks worth. So any 3 of them, you can get the mark. Okay, as long as you don't end up giving me all differences or similarities. Keep in mind, and. So you must have both. Okay, next one is the essay. Government plays a greater role in promoting tourism than the media. Can. So government is the GF and media is the OF. I think this was a relatively well answered question for most of you. So you're giving me promoting tourism, right? So you're giving me a lot of strategies, things like the upgrading infrastructure, like airport, the setting up STB to market the destination. So there are a lot of good things. The only thing that I find that is stronger among some but not as strong amongst others is the link. So this is all the E. The link is to tell me about so therefore more tourists can be processed, so it's more convenient, right? So same for all other arguments. What is your L? Right? And for the other arguments, so you don't need to give me so many arguments, by the way. Like I said before, 2 arguments is good enough. Yeah, some of you give me single arguments, I write down for you that this is considered single argument. Okay. Second thing, in this one I find weak across almost everybody in the class is example. You cannot not use any example. You're just killing yourself by not giving me example. See here, question I already asked you some more. Don't assume that, oh, I will still be able to do well. I just ignore all examples. It's to your loss. Drop a name of a place. For example, Singapore having the Terminal 4 instead of having budget terminal, or Singapore starting to build their Terminal 5. Why not? Right? It's all about upgrading infrastructure, right? Or we talk about what, building new attractions. Singapore adding in Jewel next to Changi Airport so the tourists have something to do. These are all things that you can just write using your own personal examples. So don't ignore them. So GF is 1, and of course the other factor paragraph being OF lah. Okay. For the evaluation, one thing that I find very good, most of you are able to tell me evaluation is about media being widely accessible, because there's technology that's at global scale. Whereas eval minus government impact only the country itself. I thought that was quite good. Very clever way of looking at things. But most of you only give me this part. Without this part, even if you give me the perfect essay, you still can't get 6 marks. So don't waste it. Remember, if you say why one thing is good, you must tell me why the other one sucks. Alright? Okay, that's that. Then we move on. What is meant by weather and climate, and what's the main difference? What is meant by means this is asking for a definition, right? So this is the condition of the atmosphere at a particular place and time. And this one is over a long period of time. Okay, so next portion is again an end. What is the main difference? Would be time. So climate, at least 30 years. Weather is immediate. 1 difference, 1 mark. So total 3 marks lah. Okay, so in case you forgot all about this, no reason to lah. Actually most of you can correctly say like, just I think you forgot what's the definition. Keep in mind, question may very well ask you simple definition, so don't throw away definition questions. Okay, next one is talking about compare the 2 climates. So you can see here, right, they give you some more domains about temperature and rainfall. In this case, temperature and rainfall. Temperature, there are two things to look out for. Average temperature and temperature range. Average temperature for this one is here. Average temperature for this one is here. So you need to compare which is higher versus lower. Say for example, equatorial is higher than monsoon. Average how much? Average how much? Temperature range. Temperature range for this is equatorial. This is monsoon. Okay, temperature range. This is lower. How much is the actual range? I think it's only 2 degrees Celsius. This is higher. At about, I think 10, 12. No, more. 12. Yeah, so that's the difference between them. Okay, then after that, next portion they're asking is about rainfall. I know it's been a while. Some of you end up writing about rainfall range. It's very cute, but I know you know what you're trying to say. Okay, so we start off with total rainfall. And I applaud the two of you who went to calculate, because you do have to calculate. Okay, rainfall for equatorial is lower versus here higher. You need to count and give me the total value. How many millimeters? And this is the one that I know you're racking your brain, trying your best, which I really appreciate. But of course, you need to know the proper term. Rainfall distribution. Equatorial is even versus seasonal. Yeah, in this case, there's dry season here. In this case, there is no dry season. Every single month, minimum 100 millimeters of rain. Right, in January and December. That kind of thing. Okay, so this is why the 4 marks go to. This one is standard one. So any climograph type question is standard, these 4 things that you need to know. Is also within the data booklet that I gave you. So please make sure you use that to revise. Next one, explain how cloud cover affects temperature. You may draw a label diagram. For a simple 4-mark question, what is asking for? If you're wondering how come you only got 3 marks or 2 marks, it's because, okay, so daytime, clouds reflect, shortwave radiation, less reach Earth, dust cooler. Okay, nighttime. Clouds reflect, long wave radiation, so stay warmer. The nighttime will be warmer. Okay, so this is what happens when there is cloud cover. So I also need to see no cloud cover. Day, no cloud. Night, no cloud, which is this one will be warmer, so it will be cooler. Then the effect on temperature range. Cloud cover equals to low temperature range, because the daytime is warm, right? The daytime is cool, right? Nighttime is warm, so temperature range is smaller. No cloud cover means higher temperature range. Yeah, so this is the kind of things that I'm expecting to see for you to qualify for your 4 marks. If you're wondering, where then do the 4 marks freaking go to? 1 mark, 1 mark. The comparison. Okay, 1 mark. Then after that, talking about the range. 1 mark. Okay. Next question, talking about the changes in carbon dioxide emission between these 6 countries. So changes within the country. Within the country, you can see that this one is increasing by a lot. This one is increasing by a lot, right? So you can see that within the countries, there is generally increasing trend. Yeah, then you give me an evidence. How much has they increased by on average? Then of course the anomalies, these two are decreasing, right? However, decreasing anomaly for these 2 countries, which is Germany and Russia. That's one. So this is just talking about what's the trend happening within the countries. Within the countries, they are all increasing except for 2. Okay, then when it comes to changes between countries, so you must compare the countries, right? That's where you can say highest increase. It's in China, right? If I'm not wrong. Yeah, China. Plus evidence. Then, lowest increase or largest decrease in what, Russia, is it? There you go, Russia. Again, plus evidence. So this is how you determine within and between. Within country, every single one of them are increasing. You're not comparing, you're just looking. They are all generally increasing. Between countries is a comparison. Okay, so if you didn't know, let this be something that you learn from lah. Okay, you see, between is comparison. Alright, next question. Talking about this polar ice. Here, right? They ask you to describe the changes. Okay, so description, I think this is very well done. I see a lot of you are writing about the fact that it is decreased. And you're giving me specifically at the south and the west. Okay, some of you are giving me about the extent of the decrease using the legend. You're telling me, oh, it has decreased by, or to the west, it's decreased by this much, so about 1,000 kilometer. 1,000 kilometer. To the west, it has decreased by also about maybe about 800 kilometer. Yeah, so this is how you go about answering the question for description. Okay, impacts. So what's the impact of the fact that this ice is melting? So this is where we bring up, and some of you are very cute lah. So you're saying about sea level rise and saltwater intrusion, which all makes perfect sense. Okay, but the question is talking about other impacts, right? So we are talking about possibly things like the diseases, the spread of diseases because of the mosquito, the lengthening of growing season. Extreme weather events. So these are name or factor, right? So you're expected to minimally describe. So elaborate lah. So higher temperature means there will be more mosquito to spread, therefore more disease. Just like that, simple. It's just suggest only. You don't need to explain in detail. Right? Same goes for either of these two. So how many other impacts? Minimum 2. Last one. So this one is urbanization, increased greenhouse activity, main human activity. So this is the GF is urbanization. OF is any other human activity. You're very cute. I got 2 people who tell me about volcanic eruption. Question is talking about main human activity so can't get the marks there. Okay, so I'm not going to go through much when it comes to evaluation. The main issue with this happens to be same like before. Example, arguments is fine once you identify the correct factors. You misinterpret the question, tell me about volcano, there's a common mistake, and that's that lah. Okay, so again, repeating the same thing that I shared just now at section A. Reason why I don't recommend anybody spotting topic. Say you love weather and climate, sekali you encounter this type of paper where, take a look, it's so easy. This question is literally just asking you to rewrite. So climate related, this is climate related. Storms is climate related. The Mount Agung is considered tectonic. Sunda Strait tsunami is tectonic. Just by rewriting that, you can got 4 marks. How to find? It's like freebie, right? Not every time plate tech will be the easy question, but in this case I find this to be easier lah, for sure. Okay, moving on to the next question. They're asking you describe the distribution and the causes. Okay, so in this case, distribution, most of them are located here, right? Plate boundary. How to get the full marks for this? Plate boundary between Indo-Australian and Eurasian plate. You need evidence. Name of plates to get the mark. Okay. Second part, then they ask you describe the causes. Right? Describe the distribution and describe the causes. So cause of earthquake and volcanic eruption. 1 mark earthquake. When you talk about convergence, means there is friction, means there is pressure build up, then there's release. And when it comes to 1 mark for volcano, is melted crust, is magma that rises as volcano. Yeah. So these are the kind of things that's needed. You don't need to write too much details. Question is just saying describe the causes, but for sure you need to address both sides. Okay, explain how temperature change with latitude for 3 marks. This one we've gone through a few times. I'm impressed that some of you can still not remember it. Okay, so first one talking about high latitude, low temperature. Because high latitude has got lower angle of incidence, so shortwave radiation is spread, then you result in lower temperature. Okay, so this one is 3 concept, right? Technically you can get 3 marks if you can give me compared to, because it's trying to say changes, right? So you must say compared to higher latitude lah. Compared to lower latitude lor. Okay, whether or not you draw the diagram is secondary. If you drew, good for you. But yeah, the key points is if the diagram you draw, you still have to label all this information. Okay, natural causes influence recent climate change. Causes 2, so for sure you need the volcanic eruption, and the variation in solar output. Okay, this one, variation solar output, well answered. Most of you are able to tell me about the sunspots, more radiation. Then after that, you're able to also bring up shortwave to convert to heat, which I thought that was brilliant. But volcano is not well written in your answer. Some of you are telling me about carbon dioxide trapping heat. You're not wrong, but that doesn't directly impact that significantly. The more significant one is actually sulfur dioxide and sulfur-based particles, which block shortwave radiation. So it results in cooling, not warming. Okay? So that's that. Again, you see, right? I'm starting to be a bit more brief because the points are meant for you to already know. I'm not just asking you to do corrections just to rewrite things that you already know. You should revise. But at least to correct any misconception that you may have now. If you go right, legit, what is sulfur dioxide again? Go and read that. Okay? Photograph C and D, which shows impacts of global warming. So the question is asking you, what do they suggest about the problem? So you must talk about the outcome. Okay, whether it be food supply and the source of income for farmers. So these are the 2 outcomes. Then this one means you can get 2 marks, right? But for a 4-mark question, how? Photograph C and D. I'm expecting to see drought, crops die. I'm expecting to see heat wave. Animals cannot adapt and they die. Then this will all result in these 2 problems. Okay? Last question. Pollution poses the greatest risk. Pollution as the given factor, that means your OF is lava, laha, volcanic bombs, that kind of thing, or pyroclastic flow. This one, once again, I'm very impressed by some of what you're writing. Some of you legit, you can even tell me the name of the volcano, the Eyjafjallajökull. I already say don't bother to memorize. You tell me Icelandic volcano, good enough already, but you still bother. So I thought that was fantastic. But that's only, I think, 1 or 2 of you. The rest of you is missing, once again, examples. Okay, so that's that. When it comes to this, when it comes to your evaluation, I thought this was brilliant. Most of you were able to give me the fact that pollution can spread far, so affect more countries. I thought that was quite clever. I think this is also something that we have already talked about before, right? So, but the only thing, like I said just now, you cannot just give me the positive side. You must tell me about lava, volcanic bombs, only an area near the volcano. Yeah? So you need to have both sides for you to qualify for the full marks. And a reminder, greatest risk. So telling me that you can grow crops there, right? Agriculture, right? That's not a risk. Okay? Alright, that's all I have for you guys. That's the video. I hope you've already done your corrections. And if nothing else, it tells you where it is that you are not as strong in yet for you to focus your revision efforts. Okay? Okay, then thank you. See you guys.